You know what I like about the apocalypse? There's nobody around here telling me what to do. I've got my own weaponry. And there's nobody around here telling me what to do. That's right. So let's clear up a few things. First, the air is a little difficult to breathe in the apocalypse, and also let me tell you something. This is not a post-apocalypse. This is the apocalypse happening right now. You're used to movies that are always post-apocalypse. I want a movie that's apocalyptic. I want the apocalypse. So, got my little vacuum gun here. When everything went to hell, I got out my vacuum cleaner, and I noticed that if you put the parts together in the right way, you had yourself an apocalyptic gun. So normally this is an extension. Helps you get into cracks. Put it right there. It's the long end of a barrel. Of course, this right here is for different appendages that you would use for the vacuum normally. But in the apocalypse, that's a scope. And these two help triangulate a power vector here that accelerates the bullet out of the barrel of the gun. Don't ask me how it works, I don't know. It's difficult to breathe, so excuse me while I go back to my mask. I realize that this is very fearsome for you. I realize that you're terrified of me right now, and that's the point. People who look at me in the apocalypse don't even fuck with me because I look like this. And right now that's actually very important. Because as you probably can or cannot see, I'm being encircled by a caravan of apocalyptic ne'er-do-wells. Thugs who want to take me down. Excuse me while I shoot 3 or 4 of them. Hey! It's very easy in the apocalypse to pick off thugs. They're all around you. Now let me tell you one thing that I really like about the apocalypse. Is that there's no more spirituality. Because I gotta tell you, pre-apocalypse, spirituality was my nightmare. This is like a circus ride compared to my pre-apocalyptic spirituality days where I was constantly divided against myself. And I came to realize one day when I was sitting in my front porch. Hey! Sit back. I'm talking here. Talking to the video. I realized one day when I was... Shut the fuck up and sit your ass down right now. These apocalyptic thugs ain't got the right manners. I was on my front porch before the apocalypse. I was drinking a glass of wine and enjoying the rosy-fingered sunset. Clouds dancing across the sky in a pink orange. I don't know. It was pretty. Ever since the apocalypse, I've lost my capacity for poetry. Sit down. Sit down. Get back. Go. I felt really guilty about drinking wine. Because I knew it wasn't spiritual to drink wine when everybody else in the world was suffering, and I was on my front porch enjoying the poetry of the sky, the blue and the orange clouds. Like I said, I was divided against myself. It was like I was constantly judging myself. There were so many parts in me that were ostracized. It was like a surveillance state inside of myself, like I had internalized the surveillance state, the police state, the NSA, the CIA, where they were all inside me. And that was spirituality. Now, if you'll give me a second, because it's difficult to breathe, I'm gonna have to unplug my gun and breathe through this vacuum cleaner, which is also a portable oxygen tank. Give me a second. Now, as you can see, this vacuum cleaner has a long tube. And I could just stick the barrel of the gun in my mouth and get my oxygen hit. These motherfuckers are still circling me, but they seem to be preoccupied with something. Like I was saying, spirituality before the apocalypse was a very difficult affair for me. I was angry all the time, and I was judging myself for being angry all the time. But the great thing about the apocalypse is that I can be angry without judging myself for being angry. When I was in the world before the apocalypse, it was like I was in a cage all the time. And I was naturally angry because I was in a cage. But because I'm spiritual, I got angry at my anger. I tried to suppress myself, suppress my anger. I was subverting and undermining myself. And with spirituality, what a great thing about the apocalypse, let me tell you, is now I don't feel guilty about being angry all the time because I'm surrounded by fucking thugs. Hey! Now you may be wondering how you, yourself, could be part of the apocalypse right now. Because no doubt, you are completely clueless and utterly unaware of the apocalypse all around you. You no doubt are probably very spiritual in your own way. You've got a surveillance state inside yourself, judging yourself all the time. You are not naturally integrated. You do not feel whole. You get angry at your anger, and you don't realize that your anger is really because hey, you're in a cage, and naturally you're gonna get angry. But then you got another cage inside that cage, which is your anger at your anger. I stepped on a little frog today and it died, and I didn't feel a fucking thing. It's on the ground over here. I'm gonna eat it later because I haven't eaten in a week. There's no more spirituality in the apocalypse because people are trying to kill you. And the best thing you can do to survive is to just naturally kill them back. And I know that sounds horrible, but these motherfuckers, they aren't spiritual at all. Excuse me while I pick one off. Gotta straighten my scope first. Make sure it's good. Gotta calibrate the triangular setting so I can get more thrust with my power cannon. And then I just line it up. Flip kill. Oh yeah. Now this one guy, he's bald headed. He's got a leather jacket, running around on his Harley like he's a bad motherfucker. He doesn't even know. Oh, I'm just so much madder and badder than Mad Max, you know. Hey! You! Can you hear me? Gone. Dead. I don't feel any guilt about it because it's the apocalypse. And spirituality does not exist here. I gotta put my mask back on. Now another thing, before the apocalypse I had this great invention. It's basically a drone that would follow me everywhere and take pictures of me, and it would be a video recorder as well, which is what we have here. You, the drone, are really my only friend. And I gotta get a little confession for you. I think you can tell. And I'm not really surrounded by thugs. I'm pretending. I mean, you know, you could tell that I wasn't really surrounded by thugs, right? Before the apocalypse, I was really lonely. Sometimes I had to play games. With a very vivid imagination, I think. And of course, before the apocalypse, there were thugs everywhere. Do you know the people I'm talking about? You know the thugs I'm talking about. Back then, a vacuum cleaner was a vacuum cleaner, and I could just vacuum those thugs up. But today, huh? Today a vacuum cleaner is so much more. A vacuum cleaner is a whole weaponry system. A whole weaponry system and an oxygen tank. Do you ever ask yourself how you might survive the apocalypse? You can hardly breathe even now. Life in the apocalypse would be a whole other order of breathing, wouldn't you think? You can hardly even breathe now. I'm talking to you from the future. Let me tell you, there's not a lot of oxygen here, either. I practically have to breathe into the palm of my hand. The blood goes through my arm, into my shoulder, through my heart, and into my lungs, and then back out again. This is the only way I can breathe. This way I am not alienated from myself, but I rely upon my own body just to breathe. This is perhaps the coolest gun right here. Now, when I said that this was the coolest gun, what did you think I meant? This? No, I meant this. My head. My head is the coolest gun, which is really my mind is the coolest gun, which really means my intellect is the coolest gun, which really means my intellect is a weapon. I'm the one who started the apocalypse with my mind. I gotta make sure they don't sneak up behind me. So far, so good. The coast is clear. I don't see any of the thugs sneaking up behind me. Now, in the apocalypse, it's tempting to invent a new spirituality just to get by. But what spirituality would that be? I have no need for spirituality. Because I'm not dividing myself against myself, and therefore I don't need a spirituality to heal the division that I created with spirituality. How fucking wonderful. I'm gonna eat that frog without a guilty conscience. I'm gonna pick off thugs without a guilty conscience. I'm gonna be integrated without being divided. There's no surveillance state inside me. I don't judge myself for getting angry. I'm just angry when there's a boundary violation. I have a little bit of advice for you. A suggestion. If you want to be truly free, abandon spirituality and find the apocalypse in your midst. Become whole. Stop dividing yourself against yourself and seeking salvation through overcoming the division inside you that you created. Join me in the apocalypse. Create the apocalypse with your mind. The weapon of the mind to end all weapons.